Hi, how's it going?
What's your name?
My name's Prajwal.
Prashwal.
Mhm.
Good to meet you, Prashwal.
Nice to meet you, sir. Okay, so you mentioned that there's kind of a unifying explanation for like all the various causes that would be God, and I believe that amongst the various causes that you mentioned, you've probably considered evolution in there as well. In my mind, not just the concept of evolution, but the concept of everything interacting like as particles with each other, and even you mentioned free will, that like maybe free will doesn't exist. Maybe everything we're doing right now is a consequence of a series of motions set in action before. But I think that if you're considering the simplest explanation as your criteria, then maybe to explain the existence of a God might be even more complicated, like how a God itself came into meaning might be more complicated itself than that particulate theory. So in that case, I would believe that, something that like science-based would almost seem like a more logical explanation than God.
Okay, I think I understand. Let me see if I understand your question. There's a couple of things, two questions I kind of hear in the gist of this. Number one, this idea of a simplest explanation. Yeah, that's not my claim. I'm looking for the most thorough and complete the best inference from evidence. Okay. Because I have to define what you mean by simple otherwise. What do I mean by simple? So that's the first thing. But I think the bigger question is then we have to ask ourselves, well, then how did this thing that we're using as our unifying cause, God, come into existence? That seems to be one of the things you're asking. Okay. Right. So let me just answer that first, and then you can hop in behind if you want to ask a follow-up, okay? So how I look at this is I think, okay, if the question is, well, do I have to have an explanation for God? Two things about that I think are problematic. Number one, the classic definition of God is the uncreated creator. So if we're asking who created the uncreated creator, well, that in his definition, he's the uncreated creator. So the question doesn't really make great sense, but that to me was not as satisfying as this. Even as an atheist, I believe, there was something that was uncreated, that it was a cause. I would have said at the time that it was probably some kind of multiverse generator, some environment in which universes pop into existence. But that as Vilenkin says, as Alexander Vilenkin says, that thing itself can't be caused, because then we're looking for the cause of that cause. Right. So we all believe, whether we're atheists or theists, in a first uncaused cause. We all believe in that. The only question is that first uncaused cause personal or impersonal? Is it a personal, all-powerful being, or is it an impersonal set of forces that might be like this multiverse generator, for example, that is somehow creating all these sets of universes, including our own? So I think when I'm looking at that, well, the problem I have is that the impersonal first cause is more problematic when I'm trying to explain information in DNA. It's more problematic when I'm trying to explain mind. It's more problematic when I'm trying to explain moral obligations that are always not between impersonal forces, but between persons. So there's a couple of reasons why I think if I just had to default between these two choices, I would probably be like Antony Flew, where I'm thinking, no, I think that information is best explained by mind and intelligence, and that moral obligations are best explained by persons. So that's why I think of those two choices I would probably get. But all of us, just keep in mind, all of us believe that there is some kind of uncaused first cause. That question is already off the table. It's just a matter of whether it's personal or impersonal. I'll come back to you though if you want to ask another one. Go ahead.